From WNDU, your breaking news and weather authority, this is News Center 16 at 11.
Unhappy campers. More than a dozen homeless people camped out in makeshift tents a block from South Bend's homeless center are forced to move. Smoking gun, efforts to pass a citywide smoking ban in South Bend suffered a setback, but one supporter says banning smoking in bars would have probably saved her husband's life. Good evening, I'm Terry McFadden. We'll have those stories in just a moment, but first we are following two breaking news stories tonight. First, a 4-month-old girl is on life support after apparently being abused by her mother's boyfriend. St. Joe County Metro Homicide spent several hours at a home on South Bend's south side today. Crime scene tape was still up outside the home at 1420 East Dubale. Metro Homicide investigators told me tonight they've arrested a man and charged him with felony neglect. He faces up to 12 years in prison. Those charges would likely be upgraded if the little girl, who is in critical condition, does not live. Investigators say details of the incident that led them to this house will be released when formal charges are filed, likely tomorrow. Stay with News Center 16 on air and online for the very latest on this developing news story. And more breaking news in Goshen. One person was injured in a house fire tonight. We go straight to Barbara Harrington, who's on the scene. And Barbara, what do we know right now?
Well, firefighters tell me one person was flown to the hospital with burn injuries. They do not know that person's condition. They say that was the only person inside this home at the time of the fire. We're on South 3rd Street near the intersection of West Madison, and apparently there was only one person inside, but this is a house converted into 2 apartments, and 2 families live here. Now, firefighters say, well, there isn't a lot of damage to the front of the house that you can see. There is quite a bit of damage to the back. They said when they arrived on the scene, there was heavy smoke coming from the back of this home. They fought it using an offensive strategy.
Offensive strategies means that we attack the fire by going interior of the structure or being close to the structure from the outside.
Investigators are on scene right now trying to figure out exactly what sparked the fire. Firefighters say they aren't releasing any of those details at this time. Again, they do not know the condition of the one victim who was in there tonight. Luckily, not both families were home at the time. Terry?
All right, Barbara Harrington reporting live tonight from Goshen with that breaking news. Barbara, thank you very much. Well, a tent city for homeless people was discovered and dismantled today in South Bend. 10 or 15 people were living in tents and cardboard huts behind a business at 702 South Michigan Street. The dwellings were hidden in wooded areas near the railroad tracks and were virtually invisible even in broad daylight.
There's tents there, there's tents back over in the wooded area there. There's people that just don't have nowhere else to go. The shelters are full and they stay back, they buy a tent and stay back there.
How many people you think?
I know of at least 15.
Whatever that is that they ended up living here that's sad, but you know, again, they can't be coming on people's property and putting down roots and living.
The homeless squatters weren't arrested but were ordered to leave the property. A Chicago man beat up an Elkhart cop last week, breaking his eye socket, and today witnesses told us that man went too far, but they say police have a reputation for treating people in that area with hostility. The fight happened 1 week ago today in the 100 block of Garfield in Elkhart. Court documents say the man, 21-year-old Reese Haithcox, pushed the officer to the ground and repeatedly punched him in the face. Now, police reportedly tased Haithcox twice and arrested him on the spot, but neighbors said they used more force than what was indicated in the police report. And they say their street has been the target of excessive citations and police presence.
Officer Young sits down on that corner every day, so when he walked across the street, he swooped down on him and told him to get the out the street. Excuse my French.
They chased the boy, they tased the boy. All the Young was on the boy back, tasing him on the ground while they putting the handcuffs on him. They was walking him down the sidewalk, and they was still tasing him.
The Elkhart Police Department says it only sends officers to that neighborhood when a complaint comes in, and they say it's routine for extra cars to respond to officer-related incidents. Now, despite their defense, the department has launched an internal investigation on police conduct that night, even though no external complaints were filed. Today, a fallen officer earned a Medal of Honor and Purple Heart. Indianapolis Metro Police Officer Perry Wren was shot and killed last weekend. Today, fellow police officers honored him in a special flag ceremony. He was a 22-year police veteran, and before that, he spent 10 years with the Army. Jeremy Brilliant reports tonight that as hundreds gathered to remember Officer Wren, his father was all smiles, proud of his son and the legacy he leaves behind.
Perry Wren was a world traveler, a dog lover, and an avid bicyclist. But most of all, he was a police officer.
He loved the job he did. He never wanted off the shift, and he loved the police department. You know, he thought the world knew, and he loved his job, and he loved doing it.
Married to his wife Lynn for 25 years, he served Indianapolis the past 22 as a police officer, and before that, a dispatcher. During today's visitation, officers shared stories about a workaholic public servant who was selfless almost to a fault.
When I hear all these stories about how he'd take his lunch and he ended up feeding it to the dogs at night, you know, around the neighborhoods and stuff, it was just totally amazing.
And while a family mourns and a community still deals with the loss, Perry's father asked the public not to be sad.
Well, I think being proud is the best thing. And I hope everybody supports the Indianapolis Police Department because they have wonderful people on there. They really do.
Officer Wren's funeral is tomorrow at 11 o'clock at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. A tough week for officers in Indiana. Gary Patrolman Jeffrey Westerfield was shot this week and killed. His body was later found in his patrol car. Now the Lake County Sheriff is offering a $10,000 reward for information leading to a conviction. Police do have a suspect under arrest. Westerfield was a 19-year veteran of the force. He had 4 daughters and was killed on his 47th birthday. His funeral will be held Monday. Well, it's a story that never gets old. Beautiful weather across Michiana. We send it over to Mike Hoffman with a quick look at the forecast.
Yeah, Terry, it'd be real nice if this weather would last right through the weekend. Unfortunately, it probably isn't going to. It's not going to rain the whole weekend, but there will be some chances. No chance of rain tonight or tomorrow. 16 Doppler max, nice and dry. Day planner showing temperatures cool again tomorrow morning, upper 50s at 8 a.m. But mostly sunny skies through the day and just a little bit warmer, temperature up to 78 degrees by 6 p.m. We'll have the rest of your 7-day forecast coming up.
Mike, thank you. Well, next week, South Bend takes up a controversial bill that goes much further than the state smoking ban. South Bend's version would prohibit smoking in bars and private clubs. Now, the bill was tabled in May, and it lost a key supporter this week. Valerie Shea dropped her sponsorship. Barbara Harrington tells us why.
We've been together since 1996.
It's been 2 years since Valisa Williams lost the love of her life.
You have to take it day by day.
And as time goes by, the loss doesn't get any easier, especially knowing one of the things that killed her husband could have been prevented.
Once I received the death certificate and I started reading in the fine print, and it had on there tobacco.
Richard wasn't a smoker, but a lot of his friends were, and exposure to secondhand smoke over several decades contributed to his death. That's why Valisa is pushing for a smoking ban in South Bend, which would prevent people from lighting up in bars and private clubs.
I just feel it would be a great injustice if this law is not passed.
Smoke Free St. Joe says it's not just an urgent health issue, but a battle for equal employee rights.
All citizens are not protected, all workers are not protected from secondhand smoke, and the Surgeon General states that there's no healthy amount of secondhand smoke.
But South Bend bar owners have been fighting the bill from the beginning.
People should have a choice, and that bar owners should have a choice as to how they run their businesses.
They don't disagree that smoking is unhealthy, but they're worried a ban will kill off business.
It would clearly isolate us if we couldn't allow smoking and bars in Mishawaka and the county could. It would give them an unfair advantage, and we all realize that many of our customers would migrate to those bars.
Barbara Harrington reporting. Gavin Furlick did schedule several meetings to talk to concerned South Bend business owners about the proposed ban. Smoke Free St. Joe says no one showed up to the first one and only 8 people showed up to the second. Now, bar owners say they won't change their minds about a ban unless it's expanded to the entire county. One of the suspects in the so-called crash mob beating in Detroit is heading to jail. James Davis took a plea deal on assault charges and was sentenced to 1 year in jail and 4 years probation. He's one of 5 people charged for beating Steve Utash. Utash ran into a 10-year-old boy in April when the boy darted into the street. Utash got out to check on the boy, and a crowd beat him so severely he was put in a medically induced coma. Today, Davis apologized for his actions.
I'd just like to apologize to the victim, Steve Utash, and his family for the pain and suffering that my part of the actions caused. I also apologize to my family, friends, and loved ones for the embarrassment that my actions caused as well.
A second suspect was sentenced to more than 6 years in prison, and another was sentenced to 3 years probation. The company that built Michiana's newest hotel is calling it quits. Our reporting partners at 95.3 Michiana News Channel say that Lamar Construction is closing, putting 180 people out of work. Lamar is one of the biggest construction firms in Michigan. It's based in Hudsonville, but they do work all over the country. They built the Inn at Harbor Shores, which just opened in Benton Harbor this spring. Lamar Construction's been in business since 1938. Their steel operation will remain open. STEM education is coming to another school district. Plymouth will incorporate science, technology, engineering, and mathematics programming into their elementary curriculum this fall. They are a launch school for Project Lead the Way. The school secured that status thanks in large part to $270,000 in community donations. That money was required to match a donation from Project Lead the Way. Plymouth already uses STEM learning in junior high and high school.
More to come on News Center 16.
An illness for the birds spreads to human owners. PetSmart pulls parakeets from stores nationwide. We'll explain the mysterious reason.
I'm Jeff Jeffers. Coming up in sports, dramatically different results for the Cubs and Sox in afternoon baseball today. Highlights coming up.
And a terrific Thursday across Michiana. Will it be a fantastic Friday? I'll have my forecast on that, but also have the changes coming this weekend just ahead.
You're watching WNDU, your breaking news and weather authority. News Center 16 at 11. Tracking inconvenient weather where you live. Storm Team 16 is your weather authority.
Well, our latest Future Track model is trying to time out the rains a little better than we've had a chance to view so far this week. As we get closer and closer, it'll start to hone in on those better chances. But right now, it looks like midday and afternoon Saturday and again Saturday night are our best chances, and our Future Track model actually showing it drying out for Sunday. If you have outdoor plans, that might be good news. But it is a computer model, and it is going to change as we head into the weekend. There's through 7 a.m. Saturday. It shows no rain at all. Then it does bring a little bit of rain in as we head through 11 p.m. on Saturday, and you can see some areas may get a fair amount of rain, but it has been kind of changing exactly where that is. I think most of Michiana have a very good chance of getting a ½ inch to 1 inch as we head through the weekend, with some areas getting 2 inches perhaps, and Future Track actually showing a few spots getting 3 inches of rain, but it shows little additional coming as we head through the day on Sunday. Most of that coming during the afternoon Saturday and on into Saturday night. We'll show you the Future Track and time things out for you coming up. There's the satellite radar combination. All of this is falling apart. This is high thin clouds that will start to overspread our skies tomorrow, which will dim the sunshine slightly, but it's still going to be a beautiful day. 16 Doppler max showing nothing on radar at this point, and that's going to continue through the overnight hours. Here's the way things look outside right now, overlooking Notre Dame from our South Bend sky view. It's down to 62 degrees already. Winds are calm and the relative humidity 72%, which actually is pretty low for those 62-degree readings. Here's what the temperatures look like right now, and you can see most areas are in the 60s with a few spots, especially along the lakeshore, already into the 50s. Here's what the future looks like with 16 Future Track, and high pressure has been dominating our weather. It's going to move off to the east, but it's going to still control our weather tonight and tomorrow. There's 7 a.m. tomorrow. Watch the time under the line. This is going to show you where Future Track is showing the best chances for rain. Bringing in a few high thin clouds during the afternoon tomorrow. Keeping it dry tomorrow night, and that's probably right. There's a slight chance early in the day on Saturday. A little better chance as the warm front approaches, weakening showers and thunderstorms coming through during the midday hours. then it dries it off for a while, then it brings in another batch of thunderstorms toward evening. And with this scenario, this low pressure system a little farther north than it showed earlier, this at least gives us a risk of severe weather on Saturday, especially in the evening. So something we have to watch anyway. But then Future Track brings a cold front through Saturday night and dries it off pretty rapidly as we head into Sunday. So if you have outdoor plans on Sunday, that could be good news. Second cold front's going to bring in some very chilly air next week. Here's my Storm Team 16 forecast for all of Michiana for tonight. Turning cool again, low temperature down to 55 degrees. 7-day planning forecast after that cool start. Mostly sunny skies at lunchtime. Pleasantly warm, high temperature of 79 degrees. A couple of yellow days coming our way for Saturday and Sunday. A mild start. Chance of a thunderstorm, especially midday and afternoon, high of 79, and still a slight chance of a thunderstorm on Sunday, although it may stay mainly dry, high of 82 degrees. Another chance with that next front on Monday for another shower or thunderstorm. Then some potential record-breaking chilly weather comes our way for the middle of next week. Highs Tuesday and Wednesday both at 70 degrees, and it looks like 75 degrees coming up on Thursday. As the chillier air really comes in, we might even see a night there in the upper 40s, Terry, which is almost unheard of in July, but not record-breaking most nights anyway. So there are records from July in the upper 40s on most days, so might set one of those records.
Well, after our winter, we'll be used to it anyway.
I know,
All
that's
right.
true.
Mike, thanks. Well, after the break, a major pet chain quit selling a certain bird because it's making owners sick. We'll explain how next. Well, a plan is taking shape to bring undocumented immigrant children to Michigan. Wolverine Human Services in Vassar plans to house up to 120 children, all boys between the ages of 12 and 17. It's all part of an effort to deal with the surge of undocumented children coming across the border in Texas. It'll be at least a month before the Michigan nonprofit's ready to start taking the kids, and that's if the city approves it. Some neighbors are concerned, but the organization says it would be good for the community because it would create at least 55 jobs. Well, it happens to all of us. Kids get our phones, and sometimes they rack up bills without us knowing. Federal Trade Commission says that's not okay, and they're suing Amazon for letting it happen. Amazon allowed millions of dollars worth of in-app purchases. They didn't require a password for virtual sale items like buying coins within a game. Thousands of parents complained, and now the FTC wants Amazon to refund customers and fix the password error in the apps. Well, there's a strange illness going around affecting both humans and parakeets, but only parakeets sold at PetSmart. The store has removed parakeets from more than 500 stores nationwide because of a bacterial illness. It makes humans sick too, but as Natalie Martinez reports, most pet owners aren't aware of the problem.
Just look. This is Blue, the parakeet, shortly after his family bought him at this Orland Hills PetSmart in April.
He would chirp every morning.
They were so happy with Blue, Wendy O'Brien went back to PetSmart on Monday to buy him a friend.
We noticed that all the parakeets were gone.
Turns out PetSmart had pulled parakeets from this and 510 of its stores due to a bacterial illness called psittacosis chlamydia, which causes lethargy and loss of appetite in birds. When passed to humans, it causes flu-like symptoms. Wendy and her kids went home and never expected what happened next.
We came home and our bird was dead.
My mom started to cry.
I just thought, are you kidding me? We were just at the store. I had no idea that there was a recall.
She went to her physician after suffering respiratory and cold-like symptoms herself.
My husband's sick, my sister is sick.
Her doctor says she's okay, but Wendy, a former nurse, worries for others.
It's a potential public health hazard, and for people who perhaps have a sick child at home or an elderly or someone that's pregnant and doesn't know it, this could potentially put them at risk.
Tonight, PetSmart tells us that 16 birds that were purchased March 12th through May 20th have tested positive, but no human transmission's been reported, no cases in Illinois or Indiana. All birds from the 511 stores have been treated with antibiotics. Meanwhile, Wendy, a Perks member, says she never got an informational email that PetSmart says it sent out to its members.
I just wish they would have been a little bit more proactive.
Natalie Martinez reporting PetSmart will pay for tests and medicine for owners of potentially sick birds. Just call the store where you got the parakeet. Well, the Chicago Cubs are a step closer to getting the city's approval for a renovation project at Wrigley Field that's much bigger than the one they pushed through last year. Today, the city's Landmarks Commission signed off on a second video board, bigger outfield lights, light standards in the outfield, and new seats that would replace bullpens down the foul lines. All this in addition to the Jumbotron that was approved last year. If the city council approves the changes, it will likely mean a big fight between the team and the rooftop owners. They say the signs will obstruct their views and likely destroy their businesses. Some history tonight by the Silverhawks in their game at Dayton. Jeff has highlights coming up. Dayton and South Bend. Stay with us.
News Center 16 Sports with Jeff Jeffers.
Who would have thought the capacity crowd tonight in Dayton would see history being made? You never know about the game of baseball. It didn't take Andrew Velasquez long to extend his on-base streak for the Silverhawks. Leading off the game, Velasquez walks, reaching base for the 69th consecutive game. He would later triple in the contest. South Bend's own Dick Nussbaum, Midwest League Vice President, on the broadcast. Dan Palka at the dish for the Hawks. Another biscuit for breakfast, and this one's in the stands, but it's caught for a long sacrifice fly. Hawks lead it 2-1. Blaine Weller on the mound, bottom of the ninth, 2 out. He hasn't allowed a hit. He gets the no-hitter on the comebacker. No-hitter for Weller. Silverhawks win tonight 7-1 over the Dayton Dragons. And there are some changes coming to Four Winds Field. Owner Andrew Berlin is an old-school baseball fan and plans to replace the turf at the stadium with real grass sometime in the next couple of years. The project is expected to cost about $500,000, and he plans to pay it out of pocket. 2012 Heisman winner Johnny Manziel at Fenway today, Chicago and Boston. David Ortiz at the plate, deep into center field. Back goes Adam Eaton, back, and makes a great catch on the warning track. Top of the ninth, 3-1 Red Sox. Connor Gillespie inside Pesky's pole, tying the game. In the 10th, though, it's Mike Karp singling to left. Daniel Navas scores. Red Sox win again in walk-off fashion, 4-3. Torrey Hunter for the Tigers tonight against Kansas City into left center field. This will get down and will score Ian Kinsler. Then Miguel Cabrera dents the wall in left field. This will score a pair for Detroit. The Tigers have a big lead late in the contest, leading 14-2 in the 8th inning. Today in Cincinnati, Ryan Ludwig for the Reds goes deep here in left field. Cincinnati with the lead, but the Cubs would rally. Starlin Castro with an RBI ties the game at 4. There would be some fireworks in this contest. Anthony Rizzo didn't like the fact that Aroldis Chapman came up and in when he was pitching, so the benches would empty, no punches thrown. Then a deep fly ball of the batter, Luis Valbuena. It is off the wall, 2 runs coming to score. Cubs win today over the Reds, 6-4. Cardinals catcher Yadier Molina will miss about 10 weeks after tearing ligaments in his thumb. And the same injury will sideline second baseman Brandon Phillips to the Reds for the same amount of time. Both players will require surgery. And Sox pitcher Chris Sale and Cubs first baseman Anthony Rizzo are heading to Minneapolis for the All-Star game. Both were voted in by the fans. Well, we know which quarterback will get the start for the Irish during fall camp. Maybe. Earlier we showed you Brian and Pocky Kelly at St. Joe Regional Medical Center today, announcing the Kelly Comprehensive Breast Center. And of course, the head coach of the Irish was asked about the quarterback situation at Notre Dame.
The sisters were just up here, the sisters from the Holy Cross, and we have settled the quarterback situation. So that has been taken care of today, which was something that I didn't think would happen today, but we've gotten that cleared up. So we've really accomplished a lot here today.
And it all starts August 30th against Rice at the stadium.
Be here before you know it, my friend.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
We can't wait.
All right, thanks a lot. And we'll have a final check of the weather right after we take this short timeout. Stay with us.
Love going home after the show, opening up the windows, the moonroof, just letting that fresh air in. No AC in the car.
Yeah, make sure it's the upstairs windows. It's not a good idea to leave the downstairs windows open at night.
No, that is true, and you're right.
That's a free tip.
We don't do that.
Yeah,
That is a free tip. A little bit safer that way. It's nice and dry out there right now, 16 Doppler max, as you can see. And even taking a really wide view on the radar, there is not a whole lot going on right now. Some thunderstorms back in Nebraska, up in Minnesota. None of those are headed our way quite yet. Here's the 7-day forecast. Tomorrow's going to be beautiful. Nice green day there. Sunny, a little bit warmer in the afternoon, 79 degrees. Then there is a pretty good chance for a shower or thunderstorm, maybe a couple of them coming your way on Saturday. Still a chance on Sunday and Monday as well. Temperatures you can see a little bit milder than near record-breaking cold coming next week. In fact, we may set a record or two, but it is July. It's not January, so it's not going to be brutal or anything like that.
Well, I'd hope not. All right, that'll do it for News Center 16 and 11. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.